threat of disaster is never pleasant.
Welcome to the Casual Preppers podcast.
These safety measures are essential.
The only place for prepping, survival, and entertainment.
This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival.
Here are your hosts, Cam and Kobe.
Well, ho, ho, ho to you, buddy.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Cam is so festive today. If you're listening, you're missing out.
Our clinic, we all wanted to go Christmassy sweaters.
Oh, is that what it was?
So the podcast gets the same benefit.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
I'm
nice.
excited.
It's really warm.
You look great.
Yeah, it's nice.
Santa Claus has got them like 80s sunglasses on.
It cost me $5 to invest in this shirt.
Worth every penny.
Gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, that's right. Cameron, welcome to the studio. Welcome to Casual Preppers.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for
today.
coming. What are we talking about today, Cameron?
Well, we usually do this podcast kind of in January, but
Yeah.
we're like, let's get started on it.
Mm.
People are eager to be preppers.
They are. I hope so.
We want to do a podcast specifically kind of to the newbie and a checklist of things to like focus on. We all have goals that are coming up for the new year.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just go through the basics of prepping? We're going to give you some checklists.
Yeah.
And get it done.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
Yeah.
But first, I got to tell you about Battlebox. It is the monthly subscription box for men or women, full of solid gear for adventure seekers, survivalists, outdoor enthusiasts, and casual preppers. Each month, Battlebox sends you the coolest selection of hand-picked outdoor survival and everyday carry gear, all valued at far more than what you normally pay. You never know what's in the next box, but here's a sampling of what users received this month. The ReadyWise American Red Cross 72-hour emergency food kit.
That thing is huge.
I love it.
It's perfect.
I just love
Your
when
prepping
you get,
is like
yes,
a big goal is already done.
it is. It's right there. Yeah, I love it when they send like the basics, the
Me
stuff
too.
the meat and taters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love it. Also, the Eton FRX3 multi-powered weather alert radio. This thing's
This
awesome.
is a good one.
I did a video on this actually a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's a great weather radio, emergency radio. Everybody has to have one. So now you got
Everyone
one.
needs one.
Everyone needs one. All this badassness starts at just $30 a month. They've shipped almost 1 million boxes and won Best Men's Subscription Box of 2017. Our listeners get a free knife when you sign up at trybattlebox.com/casual preppers. That is trybattlebox.com/casual preppers. Get your first battle box plus a free knife at trybattlebox.com/casual preppers.
Listener reviews starts now.
If Christmas is disappointing, just get yourself a battle box.
It won't be disappointing
It
anymore.
won't. Nope.
Mm-mm.
So, listener reviews.
Mhm.
This one was a joyous one.
It was, yeah, for sure.
They make it awesome.
Mhm.
Whistler Sparky Aaron.
That's a great name. Whistler Sparky.
That's what my mom calls me. Whistler Sparky Aaron. Get
Yeah.
on in here. This is a great and lighthearted take on prepping. Cam and Kobe give great advice and don't take themselves too seriously.
Mhm.
My family and I were on a road trip and stopped in Vernal for a night. I reached out to them for dinner advice and got it. The Mexican restaurant was excellent. Obviously, I didn't give this advice.
No.
And nobody turned into a diarrhea fountain. Stay survived.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, how does it feel to have eaten in a place
That
that
we-
all of my bodily fluids came out of?
That was the exact restaurant where Cam had his little
Attack.
Whistler Sparky fountain thing. Whatever it was.
It was something.
It was bad.
It was like the death blossom.
It was.
Just spraying all over in there.
The death blossom. If you guys want to be a part of this portion of the podcast, go to iTunes, go to Facebook, go to the Kindle book on Amazon, leave us a 5-star review, and make it awesome.
It's a mad, mad world.
So Cam, this is a crazy little story. Less prepperish, more hilarious. This thing happened. So a clown drives a limo past airport security, claims he has a bomb, and demands a plane to look for UFOs.
Wow.
I mean,
Hey, let's just combine a bunch of weird stuff all in one.
you know, it's almost like somebody just like wrote a crazy article for fun, and it actually didn't happen, but it did happen. Matthew Brannick was arrested earlier this week after he breached airport security in the Vegas International Airport. According to a wild story shared by Newsweek, Brannick drove through the airport security gates, parked his car next to a private plane. After exiting the vehicle wearing a clown mask, he announced his intention to blow up the airport.
Wow.
Yeah, so after the employees fled, apparently he drove off, only to later surrender to police. During this second encounter, he told authorities that he was the chosen one and that he needed to get a plane to get to Area 51 so he could look for UFOs. And so,
All right. I would have let him.
I know, it's like, dude, you got a plan? I think you just go for it. Execute, buddy.
You know what?
You know?
We'll get you even your frequent flyer miles.
Yeah,
too.
let's
Go
do
on
it.
there, buddy.
A funny thing is last month, or I think when was this? Was it last month? A while ago, he was the same guy that was driving a limousine on the Vegas Strip and was just doing donuts in a limousine and got arrested. In a friggin' limousine, dude. You should see it. It's crazy.
I want to see it.
Yeah,
I
send
wouldn't
that to
even
you.
be mad.
No.
Like, that takes skill.
Like, dude, we need to hire you for a movie, stunt driver
It's
or
like
something.
doing donuts in an 18-wheeler. Like,
Yeah, it's not easy.
Spinning that around.
So, anyways, you just got to be careful if you're working, airport security, or if you're renting out a limousine to people.
Yeah.
Be careful because there's a lot of crazies
The
out
world
there.
is freaking
It's
nuts.
mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In other news, old Russia,
No.
they've got some cool things going on.
Old
right?
trusty.
Old.
Old trusty. When it comes to Mad Mad World.
Yeah.
That's like I say it all the time. When I don't have a Mad Mad World, I just
You just type in Russia.
Russia.
And you're like,
And
boom, boom, boom,
something
boom, boom,
usually
boom, boom,
comes
boom.
up.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we all know that they're moving forces up close towards Ukraine, rushing up in there.
Russian.
Russian.
Oh, I thought you said Russian.
Russian up in there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
We're Russian. But yeah, so the United States, is like, back it off, back it off. And Russia's like, this is not our preferred choice. We do not want this. We do not want war with Ukraine. But supposedly, they're telling NATO, you need to back off. You need to bring, there shouldn't be any more activity on the Eastern Front. And so Putin's like annoyed with that. And he said, there needs to be some agreements.
Okay.
And you guys need to basically take away all your defenses so that we can do whatever we want when we want to. Basically what he's saying.
That makes a lot of sense.
So he's saying NATO needs to back off, take all of their missiles and everything away from the border, and they'll back off from Ukraine. Got to take their word for it.
Yeah, you got
They're
it.
pretty trustworthy.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's a scary deal. And, obviously we're all kind of watching that because all those wild cards, freaking
I know.
Russia, China, North Korea, it's just like at any moment they just be like, you know what, screw it, let's go.
It's just like you need that one domino to go down.
That's
it seems
it.
like the whole place is going to
Yeah.
be
So
a viral video.
freaking terrifying stuff. And just all, history. This is the quietest time in history ever to go this long without war,
Really?
which is scary.
Well, although we've been at war in Afghanistan forever.
Right. But like a world war and like
I see
like
what
a
you mean.
major
Yeah.
world conflict. This is the
Yeah.
longest we've gone without that. And that just kind of makes it uneasy.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Let's destroy that record. Let's Tom Brady it.
Yeah.
Put the record so high no one's ever going to get that.
Oh, man. That's
But
crazy
anyways,
stuff.
kind of scary stuff.
Thank you, Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep an eye on
Mad.
that. So
Mad.
we wanted to talk about a new prepper checklist. So every year we try and do something near the beginning of the year to help those people that are making those New Year's resolutions. I'm going to start prepping. I'm going to be more prepared. I'm going to do this for my family. And we usually say this is for the new prepper, but you know what? This is great stuff for the old prepper that's
It's
sort of fallen off
super
the
good.
wagon. You know what I mean?
Like going through these notes, I'm
Yeah.
like, I
I
got
need
a
to
lot
do
of
that.
areas I need to touch on again.
Yeah. So we just think it's a great time at the beginning of the year to say, hey, let's re-up. Let's look at the things we need to do. Let's make a checklist.
Yeah.
And this is obviously great for that new prepper that hasn't a clue where to go or where to
Right,
start.
right.
And so we said we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
It does. It gets super overwhelming.
It does.
You talk about prepping, you hear all these episodes that are focused on a bug out bag, and you're like, well, was that all I need to be doing? Do I need to be doing this?
Yep.
And, so it does. It just gets like overwhelming, and there's no like perfect plan that fits every beginning prepper.
You're right. Yeah.
So, but there are some very specific things that need to be the main focus. So
yeah, for sure.
that's kind
So-
of where we were breaking that list in, like down to a simpler level.
Absolutely.
We'll see how good I can word it. Doubt it's going to make it any
That
clearer.
is going to make it. So let's start at the very beginning, and a really good place for anybody to start. And even if you've started prepping already and you haven't done this, boy, this is a good thing to look at. A personal threat assessment.
Yeah.
This for me is the best place to begin for anybody. Basically, it's a risk analysis, and it's going to help you identify several things. One of the things is going to help you identify what are the biggest threats that are facing you, your family, your area.
Well, I think that's a big reason why people don't even get into prepping, because they're just
Exactly.
like, what are you prepping for?
Yeah, I
like
don't
they think that we're all prepping for like doomsday.
Yes,
And that's not what we're doing.
That's not necessarily the case. I
Right.
mean, that is for some people.
It's funner.
For sure.
And
yeah.
like it makes you feel way more prepared for these other items you'll go over.
Exactly. So this is going to help you identify those risks that are most risky. The most risky risks for you, right? And this is for you
Risky
personally.
business.
For you personally, for where you live. It's going to
For
help
me?
you. Yes. Well, if you're doing it, it's going to be for you personally. It's going to help you identify those threats. It's going to help you calculate the risk on each of those. It's going to help you rank and sort these risks. And then you're going to, make some mitigation tactics for all of these risks. I mean, it makes so much sense, but a lot of people don't do it when they start prepping.
No.
They're just like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that. And
Yeah.
I get it because it's fun to just start buying shit and go nuts.
Right.
But this is a really great place to start because it tells you exactly the things you need to be preparing for.
Yeah.
So this is going to help you prioritize as you begin this preparedness process. Where should you start? Where should you put your efforts? Where should you put less efforts? And how should you mitigate these risks?
Yeah.
It will help you rank the risks by probability and severity. So that's the thing. Like, which ones are most likely to happen?
Right.
And then which ones are going to be the most severe if they do happen, right? So you got to look at two different categories there. There's a whole bunch of basic templates that you can find online to help you do this, but you don't even necessarily need a template. You can just start writing this stuff down.
Yeah.
Start brainstorming with your family. So here are some of the categories to consider as you're
Maybe
writing
there's
down.
a survey going around
Maybe there
in your
is.
neighborhood.
MPP or something
Go
like
ahead
that.
and fill it out.
Who knows? So the first one that many people don't think about when they start prepping is personal health.
No,
They don't.
They never do.
They don't. So do you have a chronic disease? If you do, I'm sorry, because that sucks.
Yeah.
But that has to be high on your priority list when it comes to prepping. Are you on a daily med?
Yeah.
That, are you overall healthy? And this one could just be like, do you feel healthy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a hard question to answer, but you need to ask that question. Do you work out regularly? Do you require any special medical treatments on a regular basis, whatever that might be? Yeah. So you kind of just have to go, I'm going to look at my personal health. I'm going to write down these things that are affecting me, and that goes into your risk assessment.
Yeah.
Boom, right there.
It's
right?
like, seriously, the people that are coming into the clinic once a month or more, I'm like, come on,
great.
this is not going to work out for you long run.
It's not great,
Like,
right?
You're not learning anything about how to take. Like, there's some things that are chronic and need to be seen, or they're on a medicine that can only be distributed,
Monthly.
30 days.
Yeah.
But for the most part, even that, you just got to think about, like, what can I do to change to not be so dependent on our medical system? Like, because it will fall apart.
Yeah,
and guarantee you, like, the first thing I'm going to do is not go to work.
Yes.
After it's completely overwhelming.
Exactly. And we're going to talk more about this later, but that's the first section to think about in this risk assessment. The second one is finances. Again, another one that people don't think about as they start prepping. Are you living paycheck to paycheck? We're going to talk about this more later, but oh boy, that's going to be a rough go for you.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to start prepping. Do you have an emergency fund? Most people don't.
No.
I think the statistics are not great when it comes to the United States.
And we'll talk about that emergency fund a little bit more. But yeah,
exactly.
like even somebody I work with, like the checks didn't go in because of a holiday. And they were like all freaking out because they're like, well,
what am I
I
gonna
base
do?
my rent. And I'm like,
That's
you're
not
in
great.
a tough spot
Yeah, that's
already.
not good.
Like, it doesn't even matter if you get that check. It's like they said with the COVID relief. It's like if you're depending on that, you're in trouble already.
Yeah,
by
like,
far.
Yeah,
that's not going to get you anywhere.
It's not. Yeah, it's bad.
Apparently, it looks like it's getting somebody everywhere. Like nobody's.
Boy.
But
it's
anyway.
scary. It's a very scary thing to be living paycheck to paycheck. So you need to look at that and assess that as part of this risk assessment. Do you have cash on hand? Are you preparing for retirement in some way, shape, or form?
You have to.
You have to.
And I hate it. But
Nope, I do too.
Like, it terrifies me.
Yes. Is your credit good?
Yeah.
Because that might come into play somewhere. You know what I mean? Is your employment stable? That's another thing. People are going from job to job. Oh boy, that's a tough thing. So look at your
I need some
finances.
cigarettes and some insulin.
Exactly.
What's your credit score?
Oh shoot,
You're gonna get half
300.
a pack. You're gonna
Is
get
that
half
good?
a pack.
Yeah. So look at your finances. That is part of this risk assessment. Natural disasters / geography. what natural disasters are prevalent in your area? And this should be probably obvious. This is one of the first things most people think about when they're doing this risk assessment.
Yeah.
Do you live in California? You need to be worried about droughts, wildfires, and earthquakes.
And people.
And people. And high taxes and all that kind of stuff. And homeless people. And then if you're living in Florida, you're going to be thinking
Same
about
things.
No, hurricanes,
Exactly.
right? You're going to be thinking about hurricanes.
Yeah.
If you're living in Montana, it's blizzards, it's cold weather, it's you know what I mean? So, what natural disasters are prevalent in your area? Do you live in Tornado Alley? Then it's tornadoes, right? So look at those things, which are most likely, which are possible, because a lot of things you don't think are possible actually kind of are.
Yeah.
You don't think the tornadoes in Utah are possible, but they happen.
Yeah,
And they've
they do.
happened in our lifetime, right? So you have to think about those. Do you live...
Even if it isn't a perfect looking tornado,
yeah.
that wind will just rip
We don't
through
care
it.
what it looks like.
Yeah.
The wind does the
wind
damage just
proves,
the same.
yeah.
Do you live near a nuclear power plant? That's, again, goes back to your geography. Do you live near a military facility?
Mm-hmm.
Both of those things can add into this risk assessment, so you need to look at those. Then we go to transportation. Do you have a long commute to work? Is your vehicle in good shape? Are you regularly driving in inclement weather? Do you have backup transportation options? Again, these are all things that you're going to be preparing for. As a prepper, you have to think about the everyday issues that are going to come up. I can't talk today. Sorry. Home and home
Been there,
security.
buddy,
Is crime an issue in your area? Do you have a home security plan or a personal security plan? Do you have smoke alarms, extinguishers? Are you prepared for power outages? Again, your home is your sanctuary, so you have to make sure that it is secure and that you're prepared at the house. Cybersecurity, what is your online presence like? Are you vulnerable to cyber attacks? Probably. You know what I mean? Probably are in some way. And then you can look at these other possible large-scale events like civil unrest, pandemics, economic collapse, asteroidal impact, World War III, EMPs, all the big stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so those need to come into it as well. Like I did, we're going to talk about emergency plan next, but when you do an emergency plan, you do this kind of a basic risk assessment as you're filling it out. I didn't have pandemic on there. And then I went back and looked at it. I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I have that on there? I have to think about that because, of course, we're going through it now.
Yeah.
If it wasn't something that I had
it's
on
like
the list.
Living it.
Yeah, you're living it.
I ain't
you
worried
know?
about it anymore.
Yeah. So, a personal threat assessment, a personal risk assessment, that is a really great place to start because it gives you that jumping off point. Okay, here are the things that will probably happen to me if something does happen. So here's the things I need to start working on, right? And so then you move on, and after you do that, you got to get into that emergency plan. I'm a huge proponent of a family emergency plan. And it is a great initial step into prepping. I've talked about it a million times, but it's super critical. After you've done this threat assessment, the emergency plan will help you plan for whatever these emergencies are, right? You will use your threat assessment information. It will help you and your family to know what action items you each have during these emergencies, whatever the emergency is going to be. I really like the one from Red Cross, but there's like 100 of them you can find online. You're going to put in the information of the things that might happen to you, and you're going to say, okay, this person's going to do this. This is where we're going to meet. This is how we're going to contact each other. This is the action items that Cam has. This is the action items that Tawny has. You know what I mean? And you go out and you're going to do it. So emergency plan is a great next step after that first threat assessment.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, like if you only ever get to just that part of taking your personal threat assessment, like that is so far ahead of everybody else.
It is. And then having that plan. Because the thing is, when it goes down, you don't know what to do.
No.
But at least you have...
Everybody goes into like a panic mode and scared. Even those, like being prepped when we had the pandemic start, like we were nervous. We were like, what do we do? Do we need to go to the store real quick and top off our items? And what the store looks like it's going to get cleared out. Do I have enough pantry items?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it's huge. And things come together after you get this in place and know like what are going to be the most likely things you're going to experience. So,
and it's amazing, like the peace of mind I get knowing that my kids have one of these in their backpacks. So if something does happen when they're at school, and they go, oh crap, what do we do? At least they have that.
Seriously,
they have one thing they can look at, and then we can go, okay, let's go look at ours. What are the kids most likely to do if we can't get in touch with them?
Right.
You know what I mean? At least they have something.
We need to go over it again with my family because I'm like thinking we're 3/4 of the day I'm not with my family.
Yep.
Like,
Exactly.
So when an event happens, some emergency, I'm going to be away from my family.
Yeah.
And hope I can get back as quick as possible.
And you hope that there's communication methods to get
Yeah.
in touch with them, but you don't know.
So it's like
Right?
huge. You got to go over that.
Yeah.
So yeah, now getting into like some of the basic things to get together, to start putting together to support that plan that you've come up with. The first thing is, obviously what keeps me alive, food and water. And how much do I get of that? Like, that's where it gets a little bit fuzzy because you're just like, I can get all this, like how long, it gets really detailed, but probably the most important thing anybody can do right now, and most of you should already have done this, but is have a 72-hour kit.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things that it's surprising how many people don't really have that. Yes, you have like food in the fridge and things like that, and you may get by without having a nicely prepared 72-hour kit. But the benefit to having the kit is that it's portable.
Yeah.
It's one you can grab and pick up, throw in your truck, or it's there. It's not touched. You know what's all there, and if you're missing any supplies, so you need to put together at least a 72-hour kit.
If you have that, man, you're going to get through 99%
I know.
of any issue that comes
3
up.
days that most things resolve, or most severe things kind of calm down or resolve.
Yep.
Get put, you start putting things back together.
Yeah.
And then the next step beyond that, and probably the best overall advice for a family, is to work hard on getting a 2-week worth of food and water. Basically, have your 72-hour kit, and then start another kit that's going to be a 2-week worth. Like, I wouldn't assume your 72 hours part of that 2-week plan. I would have a full 72 hour
For sure.
that's portable, that's ready, that's stored away, and then you start a new plan that is full 2 weeks. And that's a lot. Like, my family, that's 70 gallons of water, 100 to 140,000 calories.
Oh, man, it's a lot.
So, it gets more detailed, but the 72-hour kit, you can do that in a day. You can do that in less than an hour if you just break down the things that you need to stay alive for 72 hours. A 2-week kit's going to take a lot more money. It's going to take a lot more time to figure out. And so just the basics of that is focus on the 72-hour kit, food and water, and, meds if you need them, things like that. And then go to that 2-week of food and water for your family. How many family members? You need a gallon per day. We'll go into that. But and then you want to just be comfortable to where you don't need to leave your home. It's 2 weeks that you can stay at home, safe, and be able to just live off from the food and water that you have. And we'll go into the items that are going to be in part of this. But 2 weeks is ahead of everybody.
You're ahead of everybody. And again, you don't have to get this January 1st. Go out and purchase it all.
No.
Take some time. Do it to where, again, financially it works for you.
Yeah.
And that you don't just get into debt the first week of January to make this stuff happen. Do it slow.
Yeah.
Right?
That's your second biggest goal.
Yeah.
Number one, you can get these 72-hour kits. We got one in Battlebox. It's already put up. It's already set up for enough food for one person. You want to make a 72-hour kit for all of your family.
For everybody. Yep.
So
perfect.
Those are the first two big things.
I love that. Okay, now we're going to move on to one of the hardest, the general health and fitness. And we're going to put self-defense in here as well, because fitness and health, they're so critical, but they get overlooked so often. Being healthy and physically fit is going to help you to be more prepared, but it's also going to improve almost every other aspect of your everyday life. This isn't just prepping. This is going to be better for you every single day.
This is a retirement plan.
Exactly. It is. You're so right. Because you really can't be a good prepper. You can't be completely prepared if you're not healthy or physically fit. You just
Nothing
can't.
will go.
No.
You're done.
Yeah.
Dead in the water before it even starts.
So you have to start looking at this. And look, this doesn't mean that you need to be this obsessed CrossFit champion or like the vegan food nutritionist YouTube influencer, that's only eating vegetables. You got to get some basic fitness and some basic nutrition.
And it doesn't also mean I feel like I fall into the category of I don't have any physical problems. I don't have any health issues, but I have a hard time exercising.
Sure.
And that is going to kill me.
It's going to be hard. Yeah, right. And so you just have to have some basic fitness and some basic nutrition. Don't make it hard. Make it easy on yourself, because, an SHTF event occurs. If you can't walk a mile with the pack, I don't know what to tell you, but it's going to be very hard to survive if it's a bad situation.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
if it's if it's a power outage, if it's something where your vehicles are rendered unoperable, I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be really, really hard either way. So you have to be somewhat healthy and somewhat in shape.
Yeah, I still remember one eye opener, and obviously not a big enough eye opener. Like I tried to do some exercise things here and there. I need to set a better plan, which I'm gonna get together. But when we were living in Washington, my wife, we had one son at that point. She got on a bus, so we parked it because we were going to the airport. We parked the car. She got on the bus, and I'm like, I'm gonna take the car back to the apartment. I'm gonna run, catch the bus.
Yeah,
I didn't make it.
You didn't make it
because I didn't have the physical. Like, I was out of breath, and I'm like, how terrifying that I let her go on her own with my son, and I couldn't make it because I hadn't been physically. All I needed to do was jog steadily.
Yeah.
For like 10 minutes, and I couldn't do it, and I was like sick to my stomach about it. And I always think back about that of like, what if there's an event that a family member's not too far away, and you need to get there quick, and you can't, you're winded. And how depressing would that be?
It is so varied, the situations you can get yourself into. Like something
like for me and you had to walk home briskly.
Yeah.
It would be tough for me.
For sure, yeah. Well, I think I was like 16 or something. I was elk hunting with my grandpa, and it was snowing. It was bad. We got a little bit lost. So obviously, first thing, horrible prepper. I got lost, but we were out in the middle of nowhere, in the mountains, and it started getting dark, and my grandpa's like, okay, we're going to have to find a road, and we're going to have to start running. Because we got to stay going, we got to stay moving, and we got to
worse. Like the storm's gonna worsen.
Because if we stay here, we're gonna be in trouble. And so we seriously had to run for 2 hours.
Oh man.
Luckily, I was in enough shape, and my grandpa.
You were younger.
I was younger, and my grandpa has just always been kind of a beast, And we made it. We finally found somebody, and we found my dad. They were out looking for us on horses, and they found us, and we were okay. But again, if I was a fat, lazy
just
turd,
an event like that,
yeah,
simple as like everyday life,
yeah, like stuff happens, and so being somewhat prepared for that and being healthy enough is a huge deal.
It really is.
And again, being unhealthy is a daily risk. It's not just for prepping. Every day, your medical bills can rack up. You can feel sick and tired all the time, and you can't prep when you feel like crap. You can't be prepared, right? So thinking about that, this is a really hard one, but doing your best to get rid of avoidable or preventable diseases.
Yeah.
So that's things like obesity.
There's some very reversible health problems I deal with on a daily basis.
Diabetes, hypertension. I get it. Sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
Like really.
You're born as a type 1.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's a difficult thing to work around. But
even I've found like hypertension is hard. Like it just runs in my family.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like if you looked at me, you wouldn't think I'd have high blood pressure, but I just do. So you have to figure out, like, do I need meds? What do I have to do exercise-wise to do your best to get rid of it? Most of the time you can, though. You can lose the weight. You can exercise, and that hypertension kind of goes away, right? You start eating better. So do your best to do that. Eating healthy foods, getting good sleep, regular exercise.
Drink a monster
once a week at least. Your body just needs to be ready to take on the stress of an emergency situation. So make a plan, make it simple, and make it achievable. Don't say, I'm going to go from 0 to CrossFit champion this year.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
And that's what I usually do. I'm like, I'm going to go back to running that 7-minute mile that I used to, and,
Good luck.
Yeah. And
Good luck.
I can't do it. I can't build up to it. I'm done.
I'm going to go eat Doritos, and I'm going to go watch television.
Yeah.
So for working out, find something you enjoy if you can. That's the first thing. If you enjoy it, it's going to be 1,000 times easier.
Yeah.
If you absolutely hate running,
don't
do running.
Yeah.
Do something else. If you can, find a buddy, because buddies, they check up on you.
They do.
You know what I mean?
They push you.
Or if they text you, say, hey, we're going. We're going to go do this, okay? It helps. And then also, as you're doing this, remember, work on strength, mobility, and stamina. You don't want to, like, again, these are these guys that are just like, I'm going to lift weights. I'm going to get through the apocalypse. Okay, you can be as strong as you want.
I'm going to do,
You know what I mean?
I'm going to do, like, 3 reps of, like, 4, You're just going to, like, or 4 sets of heavy weights. Like, you've got to build the endurance, too. Yeah. I like to weightlift. That's, like, probably my favorite exercise, but I hate gyms because I hate all the, meatheads.
Yep.
And I'm like, but the big thing is, like, you just pump out tons with low weight, And
Yeah.
then you also switch it up and do some strength training. There's just different ways. Like you said, I like
Yeah.
the fact that you're not like everybody thinks it's got to be running
Yeah.
or jogging. And
It
it doesn't.
doesn't. Absolutely
Like,
not.
Stationary bike, swimming.
There's a lot of different things you can do.
But yeah,
You
cross
know,
it up.
I see this so much. Guys come into the jiu-jitsu gym and they're just jacked.
Yeah.
You're like, oh crap, that dude is
They're
big.
gonna
Like
rip my
their
head
arms
off.
are 3 times my size, right? They burn out in 30 seconds and they're tapped out.
Yep.
By me, the little skinny dude that looks like I couldn't hurt a soul. They're done in 30
Endurance
seconds.
is a terrifying thing.
And it's just like knowing, but like again, you want to look at all the different aspects, stamina.
But it's
It-
like you were getting into like knowing how to like conserve energy.
Yeah.
Like when I was in that mode of like
Yeah.
I got to run to the bus, like I was panicky.
You were, yeah.
And I was like I sprinted too fast, too soon.
Yep.
And I didn't keep a steady pace. Like you just make stupid decisions.
You do, yeah.
So you gotta train.
Yep. And, get rid of those bad habits, smoking, chewing, vaping, the 294-ounce daily sodas.
Yeah.
Those aren't great. So
No.
look at those, get rid of those. Consider vitamins and supplements. And then, again, we said we're going to add some
And yes, we're saying this with this, I know people are gonna comment, ooh,
Sure.
an energy drink for us. This is our once a week.
This is our once
cigar.
a week, zero sugar, thing that we do. And it, again, all things in moderation. It's okay
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have a soda, but don't make it a daily
You're
4,000
not
ounce
gonna
soda.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So again, consider vitamins and supplements because those can help you as well. And then we're going to add some self-defense in here because it kind of feels like it fits in this category.
It does. No, you have to.
Yeah. So it's a critical part of staying safe every single day. Once you get into a high stress, emotional, emergency situation, people get crazy. They're scared, they're stressed out, they have all this anxiety. And this is when people start to like do weird things that they wouldn't normally do, which is like attack somebody over no reason whatsoever,
Yeah.
like in line trying to get some fuel or something like that, right? So you need to be ready for that, and that comes back to being healthy and fit, but also understanding the basics of self-defense in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree.
find a way to learn some of these basics, and then repeat the training as often as you can. A lot of people think like, I took a self-defense class in 2001. I'm good, right? No, you're not.
Right.
You're not good. You're not good at all, actually. You need to do this as often as you possibly can because you'll lose it so fast. So, look into that, repeat it as much as you can. And then you can also look into self-defense weapons as well. I'm not going to get much into that, but that's a piece of it, right?
Yeah.
So be healthy, learn some
Self-defense
self-defense.
weapons. Okay.
Self-defense weapons,
Yeah.
yeah, 5.56.
But no, it like even in the 2 times that I rolled, the
Mm-hmm.
first time like I was like empty,
Yeah.
like within a minute.
Sure.
And I knew I couldn't do it that hard that fast.
Yeah.
And I just kind of took my time. I still got rocked and
Sure, but you learned something.
But that was the one thing I was like, I'm gonna be smarter about my moves and a little bit more methodical, and it made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I could see over time, you keep doing that. Obviously, you learn
And you get
to conserve your energy.
You get in that situation, you know what it feels like.
Yeah.
If nobody's ever been in a fight before and they start getting somebody on top of them, they flip out. They
Yeah.
don't know what to do. They
Right.
start flailing.
I can-
But if you've
yeah.
been there a million
I would
times,
too. Yeah.
you conserve your energy. You cover yourself and you do the things you need to do, and then you're
Yeah.
fine, right?
Yeah. No,
So
I think that's why
just takes time.
So now on to like the things you hear the most. The water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've got to have water. You can't go like 3 days without it.
Mm-hmm.
It's crucial. It's life saving. And it's one of the hardest things to store
It's so
because
hard,
it's
dude.
bulky. You have to have a huge container for it, and then you have to kind of make sure that it's properly stored so it's not getting contaminated.
Well, and then some people, when you look at it as you're starting prepping, you're like, well, I don't need water. Like,
Water's
that's
everywhere.
not a big deal. Like
Yeah.
it just comes out of the tap.
Yeah.
And so it's also like learning like why am I storing
Yeah.
this water, because holy crap, it's
Yeah.
so critical.
Living with the conveniences that we
Yeah.
have make it seem
Yes.
not a priority at all,
Absolutely.
because like it's around us, it's everywhere. There's rain, there's snow.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
No, it's going to be the biggest problem for most.
Mhm.
And so the average person uses 101 gallons per day.
That's a lot of water.
You think you're drinking, but that's like washing.
Yeah.
That's taking showers, baths, just filling up a cup.
I take
drinking
like
half,
3
pouring it
showers
out.
a day.
Yeah. So we use a lot of water, so
Yeah.
we're dependent on it, and so we don't realize the importance of it. When it comes to a critical period where you're trying to conserve, the goal is a gallon per person per day.
Yeah.
And that's roughly 15 gallons per person for that 2-week supply.
That's a lot.
15.5, that's 70 gallons for my family. That's a lot of water. I have 2 of those big blue things, and they're 55 a piece. So it sucks that one single 55 gallon isn't enough for 2 weeks.
For one person.
It freaks me out, man. It's so much water.
I know.
So so you've got to really have a planned strategy here. So the steps to start with water supply is calculate what you need for your family per day. That's 1 gallon per day for however many members.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you have to get the blue jug. You can get those dollar store gallons and store them safely. You want to store them off from the cement, and you want to make sure that you have ways to also deal with the water that's typically still, like if it's still coming to your house, that's great. If it could possibly be contaminated and it's a boil order or whatever, you want to have means to do that. Having filters is extremely important. Like people always say, well, what if they poison the water supply?
Yeah, okay.
Just have, whatever. Have alternative ways to use, store, and then in case you don't even know, like, did I store this properly? You can always boil it and you can filter it and have backup ways to use that water. But those are the basic things with water is like focus on the 1 gallon per person. And if it means getting 25 cases of the individual bottles, do it. Who cares? Just get something going and work towards a bigger 2-week supply of, a lot of water. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, like Cam said, start with the 72 hours and then move on to the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then just keep expanding.
Yeah. Every time you go to the grocery store, maybe throw in a gallon jug each time. So.
Don't make it too hard on yourself.
No.
Make it as easy as you can.
And don't, I know it's important to know, how much chlorine do I need to put in that gets it to a point to where you're just probably not going to store your water. Who cares? Just grab it, store it, and you can look back and say, well, I'm a little unsure of how well I stored this. Fine. Then you just boil it or you filter it or, just have all the ways to prepare and keep the water safe. So
yeah. So then after water, the next one, and the thing that usually people start with is food. That's where they're like, I got to have the food.
Right.
And you do. You're right. But a lot of times when they start prepping, they go directly to that 25-year shelf life. This is what I need. Yeah. Right? And that's not necessarily true, to be honest. What I would do if I was starting over again, I would start with my pantry and my freezer. That's the thing I regret before the pandemic is not having all of that organized and steady. Yes, you don't need to start with that 25-year shelf life. If you want to.
If you find a deal,
great.
Get it. You're not going to be in a bad spot
but
for that.
But the stuff that's going to be the most helpful is that getting that 72-hour to 2-week supply of that regular non-perishable pantry and freezer food, canned goods, stuff that you eat all of the time.
Yeah.
Just have more of it at your house. Because if you have to stay home, that's the stuff you're going to want to eat.
Yeah.
If you can't leave the house. And then just rotate that out as you consume it. And then it becomes something that doesn't cost you anything after a while.
How many of those 25-year shelf lives have you tested?
A few.
Would you love to eat any of them?
No.
Regularly?
No,
I wouldn't either. So it's you want to have that fresher stuff, you said. So
yeah, because 99% of situations, that's what you're going to be eating.
Right.
You're not going to get into that 25-year shelf life unless there is a large SHTF event that really screws stuff up, which hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Okay?
And you want to delay having to be relying on that as long as possible because none of it's the greatest food in the world.
Exactly. If you don't have a large freezer, work to purchase one. Work on that as a goal because that is a huge asset to a prepper because that is to me, the thing that makes me happier than anything as a prepper is to have that freezer full of food.
Me too.
It's perfect. And then you got that 2-week supply. Now, okay, I'm going to start buying some 25-year shelf life to help.
Yeah.
Right? So start with the food, start small, start with the stuff you do all the time, pantry, freezer, canned goods.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Like it.
So this time of year, we're all going online, we're shopping, we're doing a lot of...
I'm trying to get me one of them sweaters.
We're searching for toys that maybe your kid wanted.
Yeah.
You're spending a lot of time online, and the pandemic has pushed us online more. And
they have, yeah.
We're not safe on there.
Mm-mm.
You're vulnerable, just like you are out in the park.
Always vulnerable.
But there's a way you can protect yourself. If you get Surfshark, it's a VPN that makes you basically undetectable online.
Yes.
No one can trace back to your IP because you connect to their servers and everything has to go through them and they keep you safe. Go Gray Man Online and it protects you from malware, clicks on ads, emails. And the thing that's nice is you can add an additional service that'll detect if your email password is leaked.
And it will get leaked.
Yeah, it will. You get,
No way
every
around
6
it.
months you should be changing.
Yeah.
Even less than that. But the thing I like about it is if you don't really understand VPNs and you don't know what Surfshark is you can try it for 30 days for free. That's awesome.
Yes.
And I like that their subscription covers every single device that you own.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes on the internet, Surfshark is probably going to protect it.
Yep.
And you can even set it up on your router so you don't have to keep using the app.
Mm-hmm.
But the app is like as clean and simple as they come.
Oh, yeah. It's super
And
easy.
as a kill switch, if you lose connection to their server, it'll stop your internet so you're not just browsing naked.
Yeah, you don't want to
You might be doing that anyway, but you want to be protected.
You still want to be protected.
So anyways, you can get this for less than $60 and it'll give you 27 full months of protection.
That's a long time.
Fully refundable if you don't use it, you don't find it's useful to you. But I'm telling you, like $221 a month is going to protect that information that is likely going to be stolen at some point in your life.
Yep.
So I would get it. I love it. Go to surfshark.deal/casualpreppers and try it out.
Awesome. Thanks, Cam.
They always have some deals, but I'm telling you, our casual prepper code works.
That's the
I've
one.
tried it. I signed up for it. I paid $60.
Yep.
And I use it all the time at work. And when I was at the airport, when I traveled to San Francisco, I turned it on first thing.
Absolutely.
My wife, she probably lost everything.
Yeah, she doesn't have an identity anymore.
Yeah. No.
So Cam, let's talk about those finances because this again is a very important thing that gets overlooked very frequently for preppers.
It gets overlooked just in general.
Yeah, it does.
So,
Uh-huh.
We talked a little bit about the emergency fund, and that's where this kind of falls into play.
Mm-hmm.
One, we want everybody to, live a good life, be wealthy, but it doesn't mean you need to be rich. It just means that you need to be financially secure. 50% of Americans can't handle an unexpected $500 emergency.
That's crazy,
That's
dude.
scary.
That scares me
Like
so
I was
bad.
saying, I know people that if their check doesn't go in on the day they expect it to, they're in a pinch. They're like, maybe I can't get enough gas, rent. Don't be in that
Look,
situation.
man, that is just no way to go through your life.
No.
And it doesn't take much.
It
Just a
adds
little bit of
so much
discipline.
stress.
Oh my gosh.
Because then
So
you're
much.
watching, am I going to get a bonus?
Yeah.
And we all like that. But it's it's not as big of a deal when you're financially secure.
And look, I get it. I've been there.
Yeah,
I've been there where the money is so tight that it's so hard to get through. But you just have to have a ton.
Yeah.
You got to have a budget and you got to stick to it.
You do.
That's the only way to do it. It
And-
sucks.
Yeah. And we have the curse of credit.
Yep.
It's a great thing, but it's a super dangerous thing.
It sure is.
And so you got to be careful with that. But focusing primarily on financial security with an emergency fund is where I would spend most of your time.
Sure, yeah.
Because you don't know. Your car could break down. You could lose your job. The things that are more realistically, the more realistic things in life that we're going to face are where your money's going to have to come into play.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention if there's a big, EMP or some weird thing,
Yeah.
and then you can't use credit cards. That's another scary deal.
For sure.
So an emergency fund would be something that's readily available that you can get it. It's not all in a card or cryptocurrency or something.
Yeah.
It's something that's accessible and you can use it on the spot or as quickly, as you need to.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it gets a little bit tricky, and this is a lot for some, but an emergency fund should be something that can at least support you for 3 months
Yeah.
if you're not having any income.
I don't follow this. I don't have that much
Ideally,
in cash.
6 months.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
That's a lot of
ton.
cash, dude.
Yeah.
I don't have that much.
That's a huge amount.
I don't even have close to that much.
Half of a year.
I'm not gonna
of our-
lie.
No. It's one of the
Yeah.
hardest things. But I would say, shoot for the 3 months. But if you can at least get $1,000,
Yeah.
that's ahead of almost. That's over 50% of people.
The hard part is that's the hard part with having that much cash for me is inflation will kill you.
It will.
That's the only thing that scares
Yeah.
me. You have to be investing to keep ahead of inflation. Unless it's
Right.
7% right now.
Your emergency fund has to adjust.
Yeah,
too.
you're gonna have to adjust that. So just do what's best for you, but you have to have cash on hand.
Right.
You have to.
You do. And yeah, because everybody's like, SHTF cash is going to be, worthless. That's not true.
No.
That's going to take a long time
Yeah, you're
until
gonna be
people
months down the
don't
road.
consider that a value, an
Yeah.
asset or but an emergency fund. My goal for everybody would be like work on $500.
That's great.
And then
yeah.
beyond that, go to 1,000, and then start looking. Okay, how much money do we need? You got to go through all of your costs, like your cell bill, your house bill, your food, your groceries. That's why the budget does come into play. Like I try to go back and look at my expenditures and see like, what are essential and can I not avoid? I have to pay my mortgage. I have to pay my car payment.
Yeah.
And then you can see like in a month's time, like how much is required just to like stay living versus your basically the bills that you have to pay.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, shooting for that 1,000, that puts you ahead of most people, and having that available, something that you can like go, okay, I can use $20, $50. I have it stored away somewhere safe, and don't put it all in one spot.
No.
And also don't count on it like staying safe in your home. Like you want to have it protected from elements.
Yeah.
Like I try to keep it in a location. Hopefully, I don't always have it in a safe, but you don't want to have it all in one place because you could lose it all at once. But that'd be my biggest thing with financial is don't get in debt. Don't get in debt to prep, and then start working on an emergency fund starting with 500, move to 1,000, and then look at your costs day to day.
Yes.
And see how much it's going to take to get to a 3-month goal. So, anything else to add to that?
No.
I guess on the end here, I had something else that I kind of.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're going to go into that.
Yeah, the documents. So, when you've got your financial planning all aside, you got to remember that like life insurance and documents, birth certificates, social security cards, all that stuff kind of I lump it into your financial plan because it's all important documents that are going to come back to you that you need. So keeping those safe along with your emergency fund in like a fireproof safe is hugely important. And I back things up and you put them on jump drives and you also encrypt those and you put them in a safe because you could lose tons of stuff just like that in a home fire.
Yep.
And so take pictures of things, store them safely. I have copies of copies. I have hard drives stored away of like backup photos of family. And then I have pictures of my credit cards so that if I lose them or they get stolen, I can immediately grab a backup paper that has the numbers to call to cancel them. Those are all important parts of like financial security and just, general security that I wanted to throw in there.
That's critical, super critical. Yeah, so that's a big one. Financial documents, all those things, huge. This one's not quite as critical, but it is something you want to look at. Cooking, food prep supplies. Sometimes when you get into an emergency situation, your normal methods of cooking, they're just not going to be available. Yeah. Maybe the gas is out, maybe the electricity's out. So you have to have a way to continue to feed your family, and because most of the time you have to cook, right? Yeah. And so you have to have several alternate methods to cook, heat, and maybe just heat water, whatever you got to do to make this food. So, thinking about having a regular propane barbecue grill is a great start. And then have, an extra propane bottle on hand at all times. You could go weeks.
Yeah, you can.
Cooking with that. And it's safe. It's outside. It's easy. You've done it before. So that's a great thing. You know what I mean? Also having like a smaller camp stove with those smaller propane bottles is another good way. Everybody usually has though. I mean, camping gear.
If you're a camper, and you should get in. Like camping gear was going to make a lot of this. Fall into
it's
place.
Great prepper gear, right? And so those are great. Having a way to start a fire in your backyard and cook if you have to. You could cook over a campfire in the backyard. But if you don't have something to start a fire, if you don't know how to start a fire, good luck. I don't know what you're going to do. You got to figure it out. And last thing I would say in this category is having some extra seasonings and oil and cooking supplies on hand when those might not be available. Like we had some of those issues during the pandemic.
And it was weird. I was like, oh my gosh, I felt embarrassed.
Yeah. It's weird, huh?
We wanted to we started cooking some bread and I had 2 packets of dry yeast. And after that I couldn't get any. Took 2 months to get it here in town.
So just be thinking about those things that you cook regularly. Make sure you have all that on hand. And seasonings are just a huge thing to have because if he gets into a long-term SHTF,
meat, you're gonna want pepperoni. You want McCormick's.
A little seasonal on there, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So
Montreal steak seasoning goes a long ways.
Yep. So think about that.
Yeah. Lighting is a huge comfort. Power outages, that's like probably one of the most vulnerable systems that we have is our power grid.
Yeah.
Like it's going to storms or pandemic stuff, people not working, you're going to lose power. And you're going to want to have lighting to, to get around, to be safe, to also, it's just comforting to have our house lights. So,
Yeah.
So I just put in here like the three types that I would focus on is a handheld like flashlight, a headlamp so that you can work with both hands or get around without holding a flashlight, and then options to light your home. That's just, a lantern, or the BioLight has one of the most amazing systems.
Yeah.
What is it, 620?
The Solar Home 620. Yeah.
It's just,
great.
I have it in my shed, charges by solar. The sun goes out, we're all dead. So you're going to get charged from that. So having solar powered lamps and flashlights, and the BioLight one's great because you could light up a whole room and you don't have to charge it because it just charges each day by the sun.
Exactly.
Consider building like a blackout box.
Yeah.
Light's going to go out, power's going to go out. It almost always happens at night, it seems. And to know where those items are so that you can, get some light on, find your kids, find your family, make sure everybody's safe. Building a blackout box is huge. And that has like, flashlights in it. It's something that I have under my bed. And other things is, long-term power outage. You got flashlights that charge by solar or crank. You have candles. There's survival candles, those oil ones. You can do an old-fashioned
Kerosene lamp.
Yeah, kerosene lantern. Lighters, battery charge, like the little battery pack backups. And I like the little solar generator. I use mine all the time. The ones that are like, there's just a huge dry battery, They're like 10,000 milliamps or 20,000. Those things are huge, and having lighting just makes everybody more comfortable and safe.
Yep.
So it's definitely a big focus for a prepper to have ability to kind of turn the lights back on.
And so then when we talk about a power outage, that's a great way to segue into energy, because you have to have power in a situation where there is none available from regular sources, especially in some cases it can be life-saving for you. So if the power goes out in the dead of winter and you can't heat your house, what are you going to do? Right? You have to have power in some way to do this. Also, you could lose all your refrigerated or frozen food in these situations, and just keeping your devices charged is going to be a gigantic benefit for you and your entire family. So work to get some ways to power charge and run the devices that you need. Yeah. A generator is a key prep, but it's expensive and it might not be feasible right away. So you might have to go in incremental steps. Maybe you need a small battery backup bank. You know what I mean? Like you have the Rock Pals little power station thing, right? Those are great.
Yeah.
Little battery backups, and they
Jackery,
can run stuff.
any type.
Jackery, yep. BioLight makes them. Goal Zero makes them. They all make them. Those are great. You can get small devices that will hold a charge and can power or recharge your phones, like the Survival Frog one that we've got. That one's so awesome. It's awesome. It's solar, and it can you can be USB, all those things. So you have to have a way to charge your phones, your tablets, your radios, all those types of things. Find one that uses solar. Like I said, it's going to be even that much better if you can. So get a plan for energy in some way, shape, or form to power the things that you have to have.
Yeah.
And you start small. Again, just start with a little, like Cam said, 10,000 milliamp thing that can charge your phones.
Yeah.
That's a great
Most
start.
of them have a light in them.
Exactly.
You just turn on.
Yep.
But like, and all of us have used solar power devices. You usually have to leave it in the sun for 2.5 years to charge all the way up.
Absolutely.
But you're glad you have it.
Yeah, you have something.
But like you said, you'd mentioned a variety of ways to make the power. Fire and heat. We've talked, if there's ever a or there's ever an SHTF, it's either going to be middle of July, August, or it's going to be in the middle of January.
Yep.
It's going to be the two most extremes of weather.
Yep.
Depending on where you live, but for us, I know it's going to be one of those two. So, focusing on like winter right now, I'm always worried of like losing power because our house like has zero insulation. It seems like. So you need ways to like be able to stay warm, to be able to cook and be to do those things in a safe environment indoors.
Yep.
Lighters are dirt cheap. You can buy a pack of like 700 for
nothing.
What is it? There's like a 5-pack for like $5.
Yeah.
It's like $1 a lighter. You don't need to be, using flint and steel in the living room. Like,
especially
we
as
have such
beginner prepper. Just get your lighters.
Yeah. Just have a way to easily start a fire.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Zippo because
I'm
they
not
dry
either.
out all the time.
Yeah.
They're great in the wind, but for at home, just get a cheap lighter. Buy some Bics. You can get them at the dollar store. Have waterproof matches and just have any kind of match form.
That's where I am a proponent of Zippo.
Oh, they're so good.
The Zippo, what are they called?
I can't remember now. Typhoon match or some weird.
Typhoon match
they?
kit. Yeah,
That's like-
Typhoon match kit. Yep.
Those suckers, like
They're awesome.
They're a piece of dynamite.
Yeah.
Like it's like a fuse.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, like Zippo lighters. I know if you're a big fan, fine, but they dry out all the time. It drives me nuts. And you want to have ways to like start a fire. So some kindling. I always try to get some firewood. I don't even have a wood stove or
I don't
anything.
either,
But
no.
I'm like, if I have to start a fire in a fire pit outside, I at least have something.
Something.
Instead of pulling my walls down to start burning.
Start pulling the garage wall down. We got to stay warm,
My wife's
kids.
bench. I broke one of yours. I could have burned that one.
You probably could have, yeah. Taking the bed down tonight, darling. We got to keep warm.
Mattress. We're just going to have the mattress only.
Give me your undies. We're going to use it
We
as
got all
kindling.
these plaques. They're going in first.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you want some fuel to burn. Wood burning stoves are awesome if you can install them and have them.
Yeah.
A Mr. Buddy
Yes.
propane. I still want.
Sexy.
I need to get one, but that sucker's safe indoors. Uses a tiny propane can. It's an excellent thing to have for backup heat and safety. And then back to like the cooking supplies and the food preparation. You're probably going to be cooking indoors, and so you want to have safe ways to do that. And there's a variety of ways. You can have a solo stove that you can. I mean, obviously, you're not going to start a fire in the house, but it's a lot harder when you can't use your stovetop that's glass and electric. Like you don't have any other way. So you want to have some propane grills, like you said. You want to have a solo stove that you can cook with sticks and and bark out in your yard. A BioLite camp stove. That one's pretty sweet because it's like a blowtorch. Charge the battery. You can charge your phone off from it.
Yep.
But just have a variety of ways to heat the home. I never throw away blankets because I guess I'm focused on fire here, so I'll get back to that.
No, that's good.
But
That's good
stuff. We always have blankets because to keep warm and to minimize having to use the fuel to keep us warm. And then when it gets to that point, you have all these different things. So just focus on ways of things to burn, how to keep warm when the power's out, and you're going to be good. You're going to be good.
I agree. So a big action item in any emergency is communication. It's key for survival. It's key for preparedness. So the first step in this is always the emergency plan, and it doesn't feel like it's communication, but it really is. Your emergency plan is going to spell out, how you're going to communicate during a crisis. That's one of the biggest things.
What language you're going to use?
You're gonna use Spanish, probably. It's probably going to be Russian.
Probably.
When it comes down to it, North Korean. The first line of comms is obviously it's your cell phone. A lot of preppers, they don't like to talk about their cell phone.
I know.
They don't exist. But you know what? They do.
Yeah.
And 99% of the time, you're going to be using
This is
that.
one right here.
Yeah, he's getting a call right now. It's working.
I am.
So obviously have those available at times and keep them charged and have a way to charge them if they die. That is your first line of communication all the time. It's huge. You have to keep it going. Other lines of comms that you can start to work on are like two-way radios.
But it's funny because it goes both ways. There's like people that if they lose their cell phone, I don't think they can even talk.
Oh, yeah,
like
for
they don't
sure.
even know
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
communicate.
Yeah.
And then ones that are like, don't use your cell phone.
Yeah.
It's like, why? It's readily available. So
It's the best way to communicate right now.
So focus on it, but don't have it as your primary.
Yeah, but then you have to have different ways, two-way radios, CB radios, ham radio, all those different things are different things that you can start to work on, but they aren't your initial starting point. It's always your cell phone, so have a way to keep that going as much as possible. So after cell phones, I believe that the next important communication method is your emergency radio. Have one that has a three-way charging, solar, battery, and crank, because they are super important. If all the other communication methods fail, usually the radio is going to be going, and it's going to be giving you very important information that you're going to need. So have one of those. The next easiest thing you can do, and it comes back to your phone.
If anything, we'll be broadcasting podcasts
guarantee
over
it.
the air.
I guarantee it.
Just like them Fallout, the game. We're going to have that radio station at the top of
It's going to happen.
That'd be awesome.
Emergency apps on your phone, they're so easy and they are so effective and they're so useful. Early communication when an event is coming or is happening, it's so important to keep you prepared and safe. The first thing you can do is sign up with your local emergency management offices. They usually have an app that they use that they'll send out any emergency
Local threats
information
and stuff.
Yeah, local threats. That's where you want to start. But then you can move on to apps like FEMA or Red Cross. They have great apps that are going to alert you when there's bad storms coming, other natural disasters, pandemics, other major events that are hitting your area.
Yeah.
It is so important and it's so easy and it's free. Do it.
Yeah.
If you're starting out with preparedness, that is a great place to start.
Some of you may be geniuses and remember all the stuff, but
Yeah.
we can't all do
No,
that.
absolutely not. But just
And
getting
you have
those
that device in your hand.
Yeah, getting those early alerts when things are happening, super important.
It is.
So
It
work on
is.
that.
I kind of lumped a few things in here with health, hygiene, sanitation, health, and I also included a medical kit. So this is where you're wanting to do your own medicine at home. Number one, like we talked about already, is you want to be healthy to where you're going to avoid a lot of these things.
Yes.
But you still got to take a poop, still got to pee,
yeah.
you still got BO, you're still a human. So you've got to keep yourself clean, and that equals health.
Yeah.
Feminine hygiene products, toilet paper, plastic bags for waste, and you don't know if it's going to be a pandemic to where you're throwing up all over. So ways to dispose of that and keep it away from everybody else. 5-gallon buckets are awesome because you can put a bag in them, poop in them, get them filled up, tie them off.
Yeah, Cam loves doing
Throw them
that.
out in the neighbor's yard.
Cam does it all the time.
Yeah.
Saving all
I've been
water.
pooping in 5-gallon buckets my whole life.
Yeah.
Cat litter is a great product to have around if you don't have a cat, but to have a bag of that or just the shop, absorbent crap that's basically cat litter. That's always nice because if all of you are puking and pooping everywhere, just sprinkle some of that on, absorb it
It's
up.
all good.
Scoop it up. Laundry soaps, and Kobe's been doing this for a long time where they have empty detergent containers. They'll just fill it up with tap water and boom, you've got that stuff's so concentrated.
Yeah, man. It's
like
cleans like
you could probably clean 700 more loads with just the residue
just
in
keep
the bottle.
refilling it, and it's gonna still have soap in it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So you're storing some water to wash with, and it's already got a bunch of soap in it.
Yep.
Clorox is an excellent item to have to sterilize. If there's blood, we got a murder, something like that. But
Yeah.
no, like blood is toxic. It's a biohazard, so you want something to neutralize it. Clorox is excellent. Also good for viruses and everything else on planet Earth. So have a bunch of Clorox. Toothpaste, toothbrush, you want to keep your teeth healthy, strong. You don't want to have a dental issue in the middle of a SHTF.
Yeah, you think
Be
it's
the worst thing in the world.
expensive now to go to the dentist?
Yeah.
Wait till the middle of World War III.
Serious.
Yeah.
We don't have any crown material.
Yeah.
So we're using pure diamonds.
Yeah, it's gonna work.
It'll be costly for you.
You're gonna have to cut off your toes to pay for it.
But yeah, consider the things that you use daily to get ready for work or whatever. Your deodorants, baby powder, things like that. And stock up on those supplies. Keep them unopened and stored down with your food supply. And onto the medical kit, you want to get a good first aid kit that's useful. There's a lot of them out there. They're cheap. The Band-Aids are just like stickers.
Yeah,
And
bad stickers.
the best thing you can do is spend a little time, I would try your hardest to build your own kit. And it doesn't mean you need to be buying like a bone saw and, IV fluids and all that. Just a basic medical kit with
tartan
quality
IV.
spice. Like, what?
A tartan IV.
Hurry! An IV.
Inside joke.
Yeah. The cloth bandages, typically people aren't allergic to, because they're non-latex, but even people with adhesive issues I've found don't tend to be bothered as much by the cloth bandages. And they're awesome.
Yeah.
They're like flexible and they
For
stay
sure.
on
Yeah.
through, rain and showers and everything like that. But stock it up with good supplies like that. You also want to get the available over-the-counter meds ready to go now. Get a bottle of Tylenol, allergy meds, ibuprofen, stomach, constipation, the things that you
Cam's
can deal with
Cure-All.
at home. That is, I take them all before I go to a restaurant.
He
Every
does.
one of those.
He does.
And it
That's
does-
not a joke.
And it's not.
It's
and
not
it
a
honestly, if I take an allergy medicine, I take an allergy med, I take an omeprazole, and
Oh my
I
gosh.
take this isn't medical advice.
Yeah.
This is just,
What you do.
this is man's advice.
Yeah.
I do it, and I have not had any issues. Obviously, I have some kind of food allergy, but this protects me. So yeah, if you want to do the
great.
Pepcid omeprazole allergy med combo,
Go for it.
It may help you.
Yeah.
But doing it yourself, you know what's in there. You know how many of what item you have. You're adding gauze, you're adding ointments, you're adding ace bandages. You know their expiration. So that's the thing I think is most important here is build your own medical kit with just basic supplies that you can get over the counter every day, and just put it all together, keep it in a safe place, add it to your sanitation and health supplies. So
I love it. An often overlooked action item is entertainment. A lot of time during an
Action
emergency,
movies.
yes, you're going to spend time waiting or hunkering down. You have to keep your spirits up, your mind's occupied, and especially if you have children.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to go really quick. I'm not going to do too much on this, but if the power is out for an extended period and you can't keep devices charged, you're going to need alternate methods of keeping entertained. So think about things like books, board games, card games, sports balls, musical instruments, all those things, right? Just something to keep yourself.
how many sports balls you got?
I got 9. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So just think about things that can keep you occupied during those long days, just hanging out, waiting for the pandemic to kill everybody off. You know what I mean? So
It's miserable for us as adults when they don't have things to do.
yeah. Well, and then just like if the power's out for 3 hours or 4 hours, you got to have something to do.
Yeah.
And so just have those things, because if you can't throw on Netflix, what am I going to do? So you got to have something. Okay.
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Clothing, weather preps. Like I said, you're going to probably run into an issue in the extremes of weather.
Yeah.
So you want to have ways to counter that. You want to have, like just the other day, our kids wanted to go play out in the snow, and there isn't a glove that fits one of our kids.
Oh, yeah, for
so
sure.
it's like, crap. What if we had to, like,
You have to put socks
bug
on
out?
their hands.
Yeah. So make sure you have good clothing for all of your family. You know, the hand-me-down coat that's torn open and half of the cotton's hanging out the back. Like, you want to have good, not high dollar, but good, well-built
Yeah.
winter clothes, and then have a good change of clothes in case it's in the middle of the summer. Like you want to have these in bags or ready to go, so that you can counter the nasty weather that might be thrown at you. Layering's always good for winter, so multiple things there. Most of us have all this stuff, but you just want to have it organized. Like I've told the story about, we had like a 72-hour bag, and I got in there. It's like a midriff like sweater. It's like, I'm like, who put this in there? You want to go through it. Yeah. Seriously, Jabot jeans.
Yeah.
Who put these shoes that don't fit?
British Knights.
I think I had like DC shoes that were going to be my bug out shoes. I'm like, come on.
Good luck.
But proper footwear,
Yeah.
good clothing, and then blankets and tents. Those are one thing that's really nice. If you end up stranded in your own home, power outage, you want to consolidate and stay in one room.
Yeah.
Tents are nice. You pop them up. You've got some protection to trap heat in, and it's comfortable and it's fun.
Yeah.
I don't ever throw away blankets. My wife's always wanting to do that, and I'm like, nope, throw it in the trailer.
Yep.
You can't have enough blankets because you can cover windows. If it's blowing and you're worried about the window busting and breaking, like you have a blanket in front of it, it's going to protect all that glass from blowing in your face.
Yep.
Plus, it's going to look abandoned. Nobody's going to attack that house.
Heck no.
Can even make rooms with blankets. You know?
Heck yeah.
Awesome. You can make forts.
Yep.
So fun. Having like a roll of Visqueen. I've been meaning to buy this, but those are always nice to trap heat in one area. Construction plastic, basically.
Yes. Yep.
Blocks drafts. And
It's great for a pandemic as well.
quarantine people.
Yeah, quarantine room.
And then, so I mean, these are things that we all have, but organizing them and knowing what you have and knowing that you have stuff that fits, that's comfortable, that can be, thrown on if you have to leave your house and stuff like that in the middle of the winter.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So in my opinion, one of the most useful things I've done in preparedness is EDC, everyday carry. This is basically gear that you have with you every single day. You might not use it every day, but you have it with you every day, right? So typical EDC items are knives, watches, your phone, maybe it's a first aid kit, flashlights, fire starting gear like a lighter or something like that, water, even food, USB chargers, water filters, masks, gloves. Tactical pens are really popular with the EDC, even paper, your wallet, your keys, and a multi-tool. Those are kind of like you know, the basics. This is stuff that you can carry on you, or you can put it in a pack somewhere that you keep near you or on you. I do a little bit of both on these. I have a larger EDC pack that I keep in my vehicle all the time. That way, seriously, if anything goes on, all I have to do is throw that on my back, and I know, like, I'm pretty good. Like, I got stuff.
Yeah.
I'm good.
The bag that I bring to work has most of my EDC in it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just being conscious of the things that you're taking with you all the time in case an emergency happens.
Right.
Whatever that emergency might be, you know, you're going to be the guy that has the stuff to help.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's a first aid kit or a multi-tool or, you know, a knife to cut open a box, you have it. You're ready to go, right? So, you know, for me, I always have a knife on me. I always have a wallet and a phone, obviously. So be thinking about EDC, because to me, it's one of the top things that has been most useful for me with preparedness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways you can do it, but
there is.
Make it a priority.
You have to start doing it to realize, like, what's useful to you. Like, I've carried so many different things and found this is too much and this is too little. Like, you just have to play with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Playing with it always helps. Playing with it. The last item here is kind of include all of the, like, more hardcore prepper stuff.
Yeah.
Like taking your EDC into more specific kits, like the bug out bag, the get home bag, and also your vehicle in general.
Yeah, the vehicle,
or an inch bag.
The vehicle to me is, again, probably the next after EDC useful.
I think so too. That's probably the next thing we should talk about, like in this group of like more. The bug out vehicle doesn't necessarily need to be, you know, a tank. It would be awesome if you could get something like that that's more off road, but in reality, it's probably your Honda Pilot that
your daily
family drives around. But what's important about that is you want to make sure there's no engine lights on. You want to take care of those things now. If you have poor tires and you're getting close, like, change them now. Oil changes regularly. Make sure you try and keep at least a half tank and more. Because the gas tanks, there's always a run on those at some point. Like the gas stations.
It's just like an everyday thing too. Like, I love my wife, but she has a hard time with it.
Yeah.
She just does. And it's like the other day, we had to go do a bunch of stuff.
She's skipping this part right now.
I know she is. Like, and she had like 19 miles left. And I'm like, bro, you know, and we had all these things we had to go do. So we had to take
It's
time.
always when you're going to take a trip to, like, you know, to the Wasatch Front. You're like, now I got to stop.
Well, it's like I had to drop my daughter off at her play, and then we had like 20 minutes. We had to run and get food, and we had to go do this, and it was like quick. And so we had to take a trip to the gas station because there was no fuel. So it's just like, it's not necessarily SHTF. It's just like, it's convenient.
The last thing you want to be doing is sitting at the gas station filling up
so
when
do
everybody's panicking.
Yeah, do it when it's convenient so that, like, your everyday life is easier on yourself too.
Yeah.
You know what
and
I mean?
I always have at least 5 gallons of gas at home.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
I can fill up if we have
If
to
you
go,
had
or throw
to.
it in the back.
Yep.
So making sure that all the maintenance is done, it's something that's reliable. You take care of the problems when they show up, and then having some tools and backup stuff to keep that vehicle running.
Yes.
When you don't have access to the stores and all that.
That's
huge.
super. That's a big deal. Having all those tools.
I mean, it's your portable home. Like you need to have that thing teed up for all the survival that you need to deal with. And battery backup, like a jumper, you got to have that in there too. And so those things are huge. And when you talk preppers, like if this is new to you, like bug out bags are a huge topic. And those are like your 72-hour portable, ready to go bag that has not only 72 hours of food and water, but it has 72 hours of gear, some change of clothes. It's something that you're going to bug out, get away from any risk that there is, and stay away for, 72 hours up to 5 days or so. But things that are like convenient for you to live wherever or get to wherever.
Yeah.
Like maybe you're going 300 miles to a safe place that you're going to travel. You want to have a bag that has all that stuff in there in case your vehicle breaks down and you have to walk. And this would be, I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. Just basics of like a knife, fire starter, comms, shelter, lighting. It's more than just your, food supply that you're going to throw in your vehicle. Maps, cordage, ways to build a little bit of a shelter. But that's a whole nother episode. But once you've got these other things ahead that we talked about, like the food, the water, the home, the financial security, then you start working on these bigger items. And then even more beyond that, as you go into an inch bag, that's one that, that's I'm never coming home bag, way more detail, one that you're going to live off from, out in the wilderness or out in a bug out location for much longer. And it's just step by step. You just have to kind of go on the little things that are more likely to happen. And then you can start getting into these funner, gear
like
items.
an inch bag as a new prepper, I wouldn't even worry about it.
Don't.
But it is something to work towards if you want to.
Once those other things are done and you don't know what to do, that's when you start working on these things.
I think a get home bag would probably be better.
Yeah, I didn't mention it
after
in the vehicle thing.
After like your bug out bag and your EDC kit, the get home bag is
because like we were saying, Kobe has a little bit more sophisticated EDC bag in his vehicle, but we also have the vehicle bag that's like if you get stranded in your vehicle and you're having to like stay in there for a while, it has all those items kind of like you would have in your 72-hour kit at home. Some food, some water, some snacks, some gear, fire starter kit, first aid kit, maps, cordage. So you just build on these things.
Yeah.
The most important is like work on that 72-hour, then 2-week, and including all these items that we've talked about, and then you can get onto these like more intense, bigger bags and bigger prepper items and bunkers and nuclear survival.
That's it. Yes, that's kind of the checklist that we've got for you guys, and I think it's a great place to start. And then again, like we said, even if you're not a new prepper, if you're an old prepper, go through these.
I'm going through all this.
Go through these every year. Make sure that they're all, locked down and you're good to go. If they're not, hey, make your plan to get through it and make it better, So that is the new prepper checklist. But today's podcast is brought to you by Tacpak, the only monthly tactical subscription box with useful professional grade stuff inside. Use our code Casual Preppers and get a free separate bag sent of EDC gear along with your first month's Tacpak. Head to tacpak.com, use our code Casual Preppers. Luckily enough, we have a Tacpak to talk about today. So let's look at the latest box and what it includes. The first item in the Tacpak box is the Aeronox M-Lock foregrip. Cam was playing with this earlier.
And it's so cool. It's just a teeny little box.
Yep.
It's a cute little gift. It's
$60 value.
Stocking stuff.
$60 value.
No kidding.
You've already got your value in that one item.
Black hard anodized.
Aeronox field pins. That's a $35 value, which is cool. And then we have the Bad Trigger Guard, which is a $25 value. Like, I don't know how they do this for $50.
I don't know either.
I'm not sure how they're doing
Either
it.
they have a whole company that copies everything, which I know they don't because these are all brand stuff.
And then we have the Mechanics Fast Fit black gloves. I mean, you can't ever have enough gloves.
I love all these. Little,
that, again, is great for a vehicle kit.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Yeah, perfect. That's actually what I have in mind.
And then we have the Super
gray
SE
ones.
free subscription. This is the Gray Man briefing, which is kind of cool. It's basically, it gives you awareness and situational awareness for these emerging threats that are coming. So you kind of get like a daily brief on things that are happening throughout. It's kind of like a mad world, but every single day.
That's
Which is
awesome.
kind of cool, right?
I'm going to do it for the podcast.
I know. We're going to do it.
Getting all of our advice from
Gray Man Briefing. It's great. And Wesley's a great guy over there at Super SE and Gray Man Briefing. He's working with us on another project we have coming up, which we haven't announced yet. Right, Cameron?
That's true.
We're excited about. But, guys, thank you so much. That's what we have today. Actually,
It's time for the quick and dirty medical tip.
Yeah, I'll go over this real quick.
Okay.
So, we talk about getting like meds over the counter, your prescription meds. There's just some like key things I wanted to mention on here.
Okay.
If you have the ability, like a lot of insurances force you into getting medication sent to you, 90-day supplies, you go through Optum RX or whatever. We all know what goes on with the shipping.
Yeah.
We wish we did actually, but like it's not always taken care of very well.
Right.
A 1995 FDA study found that a standard black mailbox can reach 136 degrees in the summer heat.
Hey, cook an egg in there almost,
If your medicine's sitting in there, its degradation is like accelerated by 100. So, but storing your meds properly, and I'm not going to talk about the details of like storing like fish in a box and that, but you want to like focus on the things that break them down.
Mm-hmm.
Heat obviously destroys medications, so you want to be cool, low light areas. Light's the next thing that degrades medications. Excessive exposure to sun, or even just like having it in an area that heats up because the sun's just pounding on it. Like it's always good to store it in dark, cool places.
Mm-hmm.
Humidity. Medicines they either dry out and that can degrade them, or the worst is humidity. And
they're so
eastern
temperamental.
states are around. Yeah,
Gosh.
yeah. It's like I won't go there.
Everything has to be just so.
It has to be perfect.
Yeah.
But proper storage means most medications are going to last much longer, even beyond their expiration date. Again, this isn't medical advice, but in a pinch, if you don't, like, I'm going to take expired ibuprofen. It's not going to be toxic.
No, I take it all the time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we've talked about, like, this is quite a while ago, but most medications don't become toxic; they just become ineffective.
Yeah.
They lose their potency, and so if you have no other means of getting them, and this is all that you have available, it's likely not going to be toxic.
Yeah,
and so if it's stored properly, and there's some medicines you'll know, like liquids, obviously you don't want to mess with those.
Yeah.
Once they're expired, they're definitely not going to be healthy. If it's, a life-sustaining medication, you probably don't want to be taking a week when you want to find a way to get something stronger. But if you have nothing else and somebody's sick and you don't have, and you have an old bottle of antibiotics that have been stored away, they're likely not to be. Most of them are not toxic. They've done studies on this. I would say
this is not medical advice.
Avoid the tetracyclines. They become like toxic and rancid. Beyond that, like blood pressure, pain medication, stuff like that, it just weakens, but it's still safe. So, anyways, find a nice place like that's away from the sun, that's away from heats. Like a lot of times they're stored like in a bathroom, and that's not the best place because humidity, gets
That's
through all
true,
the
huh?
cracks and stuff like that.
It's for all your cracks.
Yeah. If you can store it down in a cool place in the basement that's not, vulnerable to excessive. Like I have a little food pantry area down there, and I think all of the cold comes in underneath my front patio.
Yeah.
And it's like it'll freeze all that crap. So it's just take the time to think of a good storage place for medicines that aren't necessarily going to become toxic, but they'll quickly become almost useless. So,
Nice.
Anyways, let's touch on some of those things. But if you have meds shipped to you, try and do it overnight and try and make sure you don't leave it out in the mailbox.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Out to the vulnerable
Haven't really thought about that.
crap. So, anyway, there you go.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Cameron. And I hope all you new preppers are gonna get after it and get prepared this year.
Yeah.
2022.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Stay survived.